Gabriel Reyes, and I am here to talk to you about technology. We can all agree that technology has had a drastic impact on all of our lives. Technology makes everything easier, more efficient, makes you more productive, saves you more time, and all those other good stuff. We make the best technology because we want to have what's new, what other people don't have yet. We somehow get the satisfaction from the thought of being better than the next person. Since the introduction of technology, it has always been seen in this perfect type of light. Believe it or not, technology has actually set us back just as much as we have advanced with it. How, you ask? Think of our communication, our social skills. I bet you that once you heard the word social, you immediately thought of social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace. Those shouldn't count as ways of communicating, but they do. We're so emotionally unconnected with each other that we've created these other types of communications and accepted it into our lives. The next time you text your friend who is sitting right next to you, just think of me and what I said in this video. But technology makes us more productive. Yes, that is correct, and that is something I cannot deny. Don't get me wrong, technology is great. The problem that we have with technology is that we use it to the point where we become too dependent on it. I've seen people have panic attacks just because their phones are about to die. Once they get that 20% left warning, their inner track star really shows. Now, you might think that I'm being too pessimistic on the subject. See, that's where you're wrong. I am not biased. I know that technology has helped us achieve things we never thought were possible. Technology has done many great things for us. Tech education, for example. I'm sure everyone has been in a situation where you didn't understand how to solve that math problem, you didn't hear the verbatim definition of that word that's going to be on the final. This is where technology comes in handily. You can freely look up information about those things on your smartphones, your tablets, even your computers. With the technology that we have, everything is literally at our disposal, and we have the ability to use it to our advantage. Thank you.
Hello, I am Jesse Montes, and I will be discussing both sides of the argument regarding the mandatory labeling of genetically modified foods. On the one hand, the labeling of foods made with genetically modified organisms would reduce the sales of the corporations that produce them, as well as adding another expense to the manufacturing process. The corporations that produce these products claim that there is no ill effects that come with eating genetically modified foods. However, the studies that back up this claim were done by the same corporations that produced them, and when asked to provide the raw data for these studies, the companies refused. All that is known is based on a 3-month study that is too small of a time frame for any hard facts to be collected. As a simple cautionary measure, these foods should be labeled because no one knows the harm that they can cause to the human body. The public should know what they eat and have a choice in what they eat. That is why genetically modified foods must be
I
labeled.
decided to do my project on if we should alter genomes. Now, there are three arguments against actually furthering our studies in altering genomes, and that is an ethical argument against it, a social economic argument against it, and then, of course, the most famous is a religious and natural argument against it. So, the first argument against it is if we decide to take out certain traits, which ones would that be, and how could we go about doing that? Now, the second is if we've actually furthered our research um, at some point in time, it's going to be an expensive form of uh, medicine, and so at some point, the upper class could actually be a better type of person um, than the people who can't afford the research. Now, the last one is probably the most famous, like I said before, is religious and natural argument against it. Now, that is if we're kind of tampering with what Mother Nature or God intended for us. Now, the argument against that one is, isn't that what medicine really is? We're kind of protecting ourselves from nature, and we're kind of protecting ourselves from the inevitable possibility of death. Now, for the other two, I believe that all it takes is an easy legislation or something of that sort to protect us from it.
Hi, my name is Eunice Brown, and today I'm going to talk about the two sides to my question, and it's, does social networking contribute to excessive use of drugs, alcohol, and leads to mental health issues? On side one, it talks about social networking being a positive effect on everyone's moods and behaviors, and it being the landscape of communication when it comes to companies, networks, people, making them more social and more connected with each other. Also, social networking can help identify individuals with mental health issues, like off of the things that they post, comment on, like, and it helps identify who needs help, and people can get them the help that they need. On side two, it talks about social media being addictive, making you restless, and it makes you compare your lives to other people's lives based on what you see them post, and eventually leading you to putting your own life down. Also, it gives rise to cyberbullying. When someone's behind the screen, it makes them more confident in bullying someone or saying mean things to a certain someone, things that they would never say in person. And when it comes to teens who use social networking excessively, they're the ones more likely to use drugs and alcohol of what the sites are, but because of what they see on the sites, people being under the influence of taking pills, smoking marijuana, and doing drugs and drinking alcohol, things like that, make them want to fit in, and it's peer pressure on the teens, so they do what they see, and it eventually leads to destruction. In my opinion, I believe it does eventually lead to drugs, drinking alcohol, and mental health issues if one uses it excessively and uncontrollably. It does excel communication and help things be more social, but if it's used excessively, it'll eventually lead to something else. In the end, if you use it, try not to use it excessively, and if you, whatever you post, take the lead and post something positive.
Hello, my name is Maria Salgado. The question I asked was if children should be charged as adults or not. I believe they should be charged as adults, but in an argument there are two sides. The other side believes that the children should not be charged as adults for four main reasons. The first is hypocrisy. The government does not allow children to smoke, get credit cards, or even vote because they are not considered adults, although when they commit a crime, they suddenly gain the title. Number two is placement. When children are charged as adults, they are put in adults' jails among actual adults, where they are in the danger of abuse or mentoring. According to a lawyer, Malcolm C. Young, compared to those held in juvenile detention center, youth that are held in adult jails are 7 times more likely to commit suicide, 5 times more likely to be sexually assaulted, twice as likely to be beaten by staff, 50% more likely to be attacked with a weapon. Along with placement comes the possibility of inmate mentoring, which can harm these children mentally and actually make them worse criminals. The third and the fourth reason are somewhat related. The third reason is comprehension. Children do not know what they are doing. Children's minds are very complicated and are not fully developed at young ages, which leads to the fourth reason, a fresh start. The other side believes that children should be given a clean slate, and that is what trying them as juveniles gives them. When kids are charged as juveniles, the day they turn 18, their file is wiped clean, which is seen as a fresh start for these young children. Although these reasons are somewhat justified, I believe they are wrong. Number one, hypocrisy and comprehension. A child 5 years or older knows right from wrong. Children are taught by parents and teachers to do the right thing, and children shouldn't be let off as easy. Number two, placement. The opposing side says that putting them in jail will harm them. But what if we put juveniles in juvenile jails? This could mean that it could be a backwards effect. They could mentor young children and even bully them. And for clean slate, you put these people through rehabilitation, but there's always a chance that it won't help. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want murderers, rapists, or abusers out on the street. My next reason is grief. These people that lost their loved ones obviously want justice, and putting children through juvenile courts is not really justice, because they are let off a lot easier than in adult jails. The next reason is the crime rate. Putting these kids through adult jails will show the other kids that they aren't going to be let off as easy, and that they are more likely to go to jail for longer. Well, those are my reasons, and thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of my clips. Thank you.